every business wants certainty of how much they're going to be spending on things. Having a bill which can go out of hand is something that no business wants to have hanging over them, and especially something around customer service, which they want to know what their costs are and how they're going to be fixed. And when it's a human element, there's pretty fixed on that. You might have some telephony up and down in terms of the number of calls being made, but it's pretty minor. But when you're going into it, how many people have you hired? How much does the technology cost per month? And you have a pretty fixed cost on that. I think that the worry is once you move to an AI model and go, well, is it charging on interaction? Is it charging on solved interaction? Is it charging on we came up with my colleague Finbar's looking at this at the moment. We came up with 5 or 6 different options that you can use to charge for this now. And I think the challenge for that is it's going to move away from a per user per month basis, because you can't charge an AI bot and go, well, it's taking the jobs of 5 humans, so that's how much it's going to cost. And I think that the piece that we found really interesting on here was not just around the cost of the technology, but if it can replace a human, that's almost insurmountable. So we were talking to a contact center manager who's, I think there's 1,000 people in this contact center, and he said, I don't really care what the cost of the technology is, because if you reduce 1 human or 10 humans from this, it doesn't really make a difference. I think the challenge for where we see the industry moving is there is what you think you're going to charge now compared to what you might be able to charge in 5 years' time is going to be vastly different. So I think there's going to need to be some flexibility on that, of working out, okay, where's that market going to go to and what's that going to look like? But I think you need to work with someone who's going to hold your hand through the process. The thing that's going to get really expensive is if you deliver a bad customer experience and you lose a customer due to that. So I think the baby steps is making sure whatever you do is right. And look, there's going to be variable costs. There's going to be professional services costs of making sure what you're doing is right and building everything at the back end. We've seen companies emerging who are not doing any of the actual contact center bit, but they're organizing data in the back end to feed into a contact center. So your business, it will be, how do you get every single piece of documentation in the right format so that you can train an AI on it so it's going to answer the right questions. So there's a lot of areas there which I think are going to be pretty interesting on that point. And to your initial question, I think I've rambled a little bit around that pricing model. I think it's going to change. I think it's going to be variable. But if you're looking at going through this process, is don't go quickly. We're still very early on in this. Yes, you might feel like you're missing out because everything you see in the news is AI. But realistically, take your customers on that journey, take your internal team on that journey, but take it in a measured approach and make sure you're doing it in the right way and for the right reasons. If it's just a cost-cutting exercise, think about what that impact might be on your business. Think around what level of customer service do your customers need to have from you. And back to that point of, if you're a hotel or somewhere where you need to hold their hands throughout this, make it human focused. They want to have that. But you got to think at the end of the day, what is customer service for? It's for solving customers' problems. And you've got to be able to solve that the quickest way and hopefully for the cheapest way possible. And in the best manner. So that's got to be front of mind. AI is not going to solve this. It's not the magic bullet for it, but it can certainly solve a few of these issues.